Welcome back, dear viewers. Thank you, Abid Hussein, for this report. Time now to introduce our dear guest, Dr. Nevin Nakhla, the Professor of Business Administration. A very good evening to you, and thank you for joining us, Dr. Nevin, and a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year as well. Dr. Nevin, Egypt, with the strategic geographical location it has, the economic significance, being the gate to Africa, the gate from Africa. First, tell us about what do you think about the state vision, Egypt's vision with the leadership of President Sisi, that Egypt had to regain its leading role in Africa and has been improving its relations and consolidating it with its African brothers in the past few years.
Yes, first of all, Happy New Year to our dear viewers and to yourself. Africa, we are African, we are part of the continent of Africa. Africa is a big continent. If you put USA, you put China, you put Europe, you will still have space in Africa. We are 54 or 55 countries and 1.2 billion
people.
Yeah. Great African heritage, great continent, very old historical living on the land of Africa, and we are African.
Great resources as well.
The best resources. We are the food basket of the world. And we are still, as Africans, we are giving the full resources, the main gold mining. You're talking about diamonds, you're talking about charcoal, you're talking about wood, a lot of resources, even plantation. We are very blessed from God in Africa. You have rain. Most of the African countries, rain starts at night and ends in the morning, so you smell the fresh plantations, and we are Africans. Our beloved President, His Excellency Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, he shared, and he was the President of the African Union from February 2019 till March 2020, and His Excellency really made priority for our political will and our state to reconnect again with our continent, and very strongly presence. We are the gate to Africa from both seas, and we are the gate from Africa to the world. And of course, as Africans, we have the greatest relationship, a lot of work, a lot of hard work to build this relation, even from the diplomacy of the Egyptian diplomacy and the Ministry of Trade and Investment, and all the team of the commercial attaches around the world, around Africa. I mean, the Egyptian diplomacy is doing great. In the last year, I was fortunate to visit and to be invited to many African unions and African fairs and women in businesses, and I saw our strength and our love and our impact in the African continent.
Indeed, Dr. Nevin, you mentioned that Africa being blessed with great resources. At the same time, it is not the main beneficial of these resources, and Egypt has been portraying the African cause internationally in another issue where it is playing a leading global role, the issue of combating global warming or climate change. Yes. Remember when Egypt hosted COP27 in November of 2022 in Sharm el-Sheikh? Egypt was the voice of Africa in saying that we are not the ones who pollute the ozone layer, but we are the ones paying the price of others' mistakes. So maybe a word on this, please.
Okay, the dream started of getting Africa together to be strong, and there were challenges because we are the 8th growing GDP around the world, but we are the largest continent of population, and Africa is young population. We are the future of this world because our median age is very, it differs of course from each country, but
very young
population, a lot of consumers, a lot of potential,
huge market,
a lot of education, a lot of capabilities, and a lot of brains, and a lot of knowledge, and a lot of history. So the idea of the African Union, when they got together, and thanks God, Egypt was one of the first 7 countries around the world that signed the new Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement.
Right.
And as we are talking, this African Continental Free Trade Agreement, they call it AFCFTA or AFCFTA. This agreement is not only an agreement for trading, it's not only an agreement for tariff, and it is an integration of all the African countries together. And this is the answer of your question. This is when we are strong together. The 54 countries in the continent most of them are small and a little bit difference in them, and different capabilities, different resources, different culture, different education. But together we are strong, the Pan-African and the African Union. And the hope that we are having from the AFCFTA agreement is giving light to Africa. It is adding up to the COMESA, adding up to the different agreements we had in the past. But this future agreement is a real impact on the ground for Africa, and it will help us get together, unify a lot of things, standardize our cooperation together, maybe one day have our own monetary, our own money like the euro or like the dollar. A lot of things happening today on the ground. I was just 2 weeks ago, I was in Tanzania, in the Republic of Tanzania, with His Excellency, the Minister of Trade and Investment, and all the ministries of trade and investment of Africa. And I was lucky enough to attend how they were negotiating and talking about each and every article for investment, for women in trade, for youth, for the tariffs, for everything, and how everyone is very keen to be one.
Indeed. I mean, I think that there's no question that the will is there. The passion is there. We as Africans feel that we are indeed brothers and sisters. But the question is, are we moving fast enough? This is the question, because we need, as you said, to complete each other, to be one, to be unified. So are we moving, fast enough?
Yes, we are. We are moving very fast, thanks to the AFCFTA agreement. Already 54 countries signed, states signed, and 42 countries ratified, and they are moving very fast. A lot of backstage work, amazing work of policies, regulations. I encourage our dear viewers, while we are in this show, open the au-afcfta.org and open this website of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement website, and see the tariff, the tariff book in this website, and see how this agreement is already moved fast. Because most of the countries that signed, we're talking about the whole continent, and 42 already ratified, and they have put the harmonized standardization, the HS code of each and every product, and how much the tariff will be reduced. For people with non-trading background, the tariff is when you trade with products to a country. In Africa, we had the most expensive tariffs between each other. When you want to trade, send potatoes or send any product to another country, when it enters the country, the customs are very high. So this agreement has very fast and successfully agreed, depends on the product, on the HS code of the product and on the country, the reduction will reach zero after 5 years or 10 years. So we are in year 3. So already a lot of products are 60% reduced. Actually, we are in 2024.
Yeah.
The fourth year. The fourth year. So we are talking about some products in some countries, they're 80% reduced. So this is a reduction of the price of products in our intra-African trading, for example. In Africa, the trading, let's talk about Egypt.
Yes.
Egypt, in the trading with Africa, it was only 17%, while Africa with Asia, for example, is 60%. This is completely going very fast during 2023 with all the initiatives, all the incentives and all the knowing the market and the market intelligence and the market research done and all the trade missions in and out of Egypt with all Africa, all the diplomatic, I'm saying the diplomacy of Egyptian diplomacy and foreign affairs and the Ministry of Trading are really, really doing amazing integration and collaboration to make the fast moves inside.
Very good to hear. Dr. Nevin, throughout 7 days and with the participation of business, exhibitors, entrepreneurs, investors, and visitors from all over the world, Egypt hosted the IATF, that's the
Intra-African
Trade Fair 2023 in November. How did you see that event, and how does it give, for new business opportunities in Egypt and for more fields of cooperation between Egypt and Africa?
This IATF, the Intra-African Trade Fair, which took place in November in Egypt, was a dream come true. I was part of the events. I was even a speaker in on many panels, especially for women in trade and women in businesses and agricultural, and also I was an exhibitor with my private company in the fair. The fair was a dream come true. The fair had billions of people attending, had 54 countries from the continent.
All represented.
All represented. Had B2B, thousands of B2B meetings. If you saw the B2B area, it was so busy and so successful, and the application was very easy, friendly usage. Even they had the telephone and the email of each one attending in the application, so you can communicate and contact and book an appointment, book a meeting. Also, we should thank a lot of unions in Egypt, a lot of businessmen associations, African Businessmen Association, Egyptian Businessmen Association, Alexandria. All the businessmen associations had a great impact, and they booked for Egyptian companies with good rate, because usually these fairs are international priced. But our government and our unions and our businessmen association made great deals. So most of all the companies of Egypt were at the fair. We saw every country from the continent showing their products, their capabilities, their innovation, their industries, and a lot of cooperation happened during this fair. A lot of supply chain that we can give you this pack over there, sent to us. I mean, a lot of cooperation, a lot of business happened, a lot of talks, a lot of very open. We spoke about the challenges, about how to solve it, and where are the hinders of the great success of intra-African trade. And it was a dream come true anyhow.
Beautiful. Dr. Nevin, what are the sectors you think will likely benefit the most from the African Continental Free Trade Agreement? First, as regards to the Egyptian economy, and second, the sectors where more cooperation or integration can happen amongst African states as a whole.
Okay, in our dear country, we have eight or 10 main industries and sectors that we want to really work with the African continent. You're talking about textiles, you're talking about fertilizers, you're talking about agricultural products, you're talking about many pharmaceuticals, of course, thank you. A lot. Even
information technology, maybe.
Information and technology, and also our people, our calibers, our labor, our knowledge.
Doctors and engineers.
Exactly. Yeah. So a lot of not only free trade of products, but free trade of services, free trade even of people moving, free moving of people. We saw Kenya, what they did. Now you can go to Kenya without any visa. So it is happening on the ground. But for the African continent, the industries are a little bit different. They're more light processing of food, also textiles, pharmaceuticals, agricultural and agri-business.
I think the Egyptian petrochemical sector as well could
exactly.
have a
part of it
role,
is the fertilizers and the chemicals. And
Sure.
So a lot of things going on in the right way, in the right roadmap for the 2063 vision of Africa, One Africa. And I wish by 2063, if not before that, with so many years, that we will find everything made in Africa, not made in Egypt or made in Kenya or made in Cameroon.
Hopefully.
Made in Africa.
Yeah.
And we saw our country, our dear country, as I was saying, we were one of the first 7 countries that signed and ratified and were going into with all the full heart and mind and political will to really make the intra-African trade happen on the ground.
Surely, Dr. Nevin, this is an area that is of importance to you, or I think one that you attach great care to, is the effect of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement on jobs for women and for youth. So what are the prospects for women benefiting from the African Continental Free Trade Agreement and youth as well?
The AFCFTA agreement has something called the guided trade, the guided initiative. And inside this initiative, we have a lot of support for youth, a lot of support for women, and a lot of support for entrepreneurs. We find that African economy is very strong very weak when you take each country alone. But when you put it together, it's a very strong economy. And women of Africa, of course, are strong women and educated, and they have a good will and they have a good knowledge. So the support from the AFCFTA to women in Africa already started 2-3 years ago. I was just in Tanzania, in the Republic of Tanzania, attending the AFCFTA for women in trade. And thousands of great women are in trade, in businesses, in political positions, decision-making positions, and the support for SMEs and entrepreneurs. So part of the AFCFTA agreement is doing something called the companies, the trading companies under the AFCFTA. And the main job or the main benefit of these companies is to be aggregators of business and of the trading, of the intra-African trading. And doing this by doing hubs of women or SMEs or small entrepreneurs, youth. These hubs, they don't have the standardization, they don't have the financial capabilities, they don't have maybe the technology and the know-how of how to process a higher grade products for exporting. So the job of these trading companies under the AFCFTA is to collect, like to do hubs of SMEs and women. And this already started in Ghana, starting soon in Egypt, and started in Rwanda. And I saw in Ghana that for the cocoa plantations, how they are supporting the SMEs and the small plantations and the small entrepreneurs, and they made factories to process and do the cocoa butter, even in Rwanda, shea butter. And this is the strength of the AFCFTA. It's not only trading, it's not only, it is a full ecosystem for Africa to know how to benefit from their resources and how to benefit from their people. Resources is not only the resources we have, the gold and the diamond and the fertilizers, and no, it is also human resources. And getting them together to be stronger and to be more ready for exporting and ready for meeting the world, not on local brands only or local capabilities, but putting them together in a supply chain, giving different hubs, different categories of industries to do, and put them together under the AFCFTA and under the trading companies under the AFCFTA. This is the solution for the SMEs and the women.
Right. Dr. Nevin, Africa as a young continent, as you mentioned more than once, can achieve sky-high growth rates. It's a big market, but there are also huge challenges. Tell us about some of the challenges that you think are exist today and that we have to move against in a strong manner.
Yes. The first challenge was the tariff, and of course the AFCFTA is solving this by I think 2026 it will be zero tariff. There are the non-tariff barriers, which is the different regulations and different legal issues of each country, and the free moving from each country, the visas, the moving, the money, the exchange, and this also is being tackled. The only challenge that is very costly, but someone will go in very soon and be brave enough to really invest in it, is the transportation and the shipping. Yeah. For example, I had a shipment to Ghana, and it was supposed to take 33 days, which is a lot because it is not that far away.
Where did it depart from?
From Egypt, from Alexandria.
From Alexandria. So it went through the Mediterranean and then the Atlantic.
Yes.
Okay, it didn't go through Aden. Okay. The Red Sea, the area where the Houthis
it was supposed to take 33 days. Today I was notified that it will take 65 days. Of course.
So why is that?
Why is that? That's it. Why is that? Because we need a lot of shipment. We need a lot of transportation between us, more roads, more safe. This will boost a lot the intra-African trade between us. For us in Egypt, we are also taking care of one of the big challenges was that not having a lot of banks, Egyptian banks, local banks in Africa. And without saying names, we have 2-3 banks starting to move.
The Egyptian banking sector is a very solid sector.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
known
So-
for its resilience and you know, regulations and
Exactly. So they started to open branches in Africa, and this will help us a lot in the intra-African trading. What else? I think these are the main challenges, and they are being spoken about openly and taking brave actions from the 54 countries and the ministries, the presidents. I was also in the Russia-Africa summit, and I saw the presidents of African continent talking about everything openly, and they know the challenges, and they're working hand in hand with a big will on solving all the challenges.
Very good to hear. Unfortunately, dear viewers, that's all the time we have here. On behalf of you, we thank very much Dr. Nevin Nakhla, the Professor of Business Administration. Always a great pleasure to have you with us, Dr. Nevin.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and hope to see you again. And thank you, dear viewers, for watching tonight's edition of The Daily Debate. Please stay with Night TV International. Goodbye.